Hello everyone, this is week 13. And this week I teach you a little bit of lingo. As I said, this is another software for linear programming. Then I go over exam review, and if some of you wants to present, you are more than welcome to present. So if you want to present at the end of the class, please text me over Zoom so I can see your order and let you to present at the end of the class. Okay. So let me, if you go over model, I posted some in-class problems which you already had, and also some LG4 files. Please download them. So download the ballfactory.lg4, Clark Allen LG4, in-class problem and the solution. So I give you like a couple of minutes to download them. If I go to model and show it to you. Okay, so let me open one of the problems. So we already had the problem before. It's about the Clark alumni who wants to make a sandwiches, and he or she had some constraints. But at the end, the student or the alumni wants to minimize the cost. We have following constraints. First of all, we know that cost of one sandwich is $5. Cost of a hash brown is just $1. The meal should contain at least 1,000 calories, at least 60 grams of protein, not more than 8 grams of fat. So this is a cap for the fat, and should contain at least 100 grams of carbohydrates. And we know ingredients of sandwiches and hash brown in terms of calories, protein, fat, and carbohydrates. So, and we had some extra questions like which one is binding, which one is not binding, and so on and so forth. So we already seen how to write this problem in Excel solver. Today we learn how to do it in Lingo. But before being able to run the Lingo, you should download it. And Lingo basically is a free operation research software that you can use for linear programming. So let me go to here. Just in your Google, just Google download Lingo. And the first link. And based on your operating system, which I'm using Windows 64, you can select one of those. So just hey guys, I think one of you is just turn on the TV. So I was wondering if you can close your mic. Okay, I had to mute you. Okay. So please, from here, download the relevant version of Lingo and install in your system. I give you like five or 10 minutes to do that. So anyway, you need to just go to Google and just Google download Lingo. Go to the first link and download. If you use Mac, different version of Windows or Linux, just download on your system and just press enter and next, and you're able to just have it on your system. So I give you like about 5 minutes, then I go inside the Lingo.
Professor?
Yes?
So for Mac, ask you for like your name and everything. Do you have to put your school in for organization, or do you leave it?
You can put the school for organization, yes.
Okay. Professor? Hello?
Yes, you have question?
Yeah, it's asking me for the license key. Do we need that?
No, just click next, I mean.
Yeah, still no. I mean I downloaded it. It's still asking me
It
for
doesn't let you go?
Nope.
Oh.
It just says
Have you installed the student version or the like full version?
I have the student version. So I mean I just got it. I said student. Like, you know. I just filled out the information.
Let me see. Maybe that's a little different for Mac. So any of you who's using Windows, have you guys have the same problem?
Yes, I got the same problem.
Oh,
It requires me the Lingo license key.
okay.
Yeah.
Just let me see what it. Just checking on my system because I didn't have the issue when I wanted to install it. Let me see.
Professor, it's asking for the lingo license key in Windows.
Okay, I see. So let's see. Just a moment, because I already installed it without any license. So let me see the issue.
I think we can use the demo first.
Okay. Does it let you to install the demo version?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, just install the demo version then.
So will it still work for to be able to do the assignments and stuff?
Yes.
Okay. Mm.
Yes, even in my system, I have the demo version and it's working. So as you see,
So do you not
Could-
create? It says create user ID file. So you say do not create user ID file.
yeah. Could you see my screen?
I can see your screen. Yeah.
Yeah, I have the demo Lingo Windows 64. So even for me, it's the demo version.
Okay. I'll just say do not create user ID file.
Mhm.
Okay. Now it's working.
Okay, great. Okay, I give you a couple of more minutes. I think it's time to just catch it. So
Yeah, actually it asks for restart the system. So
restarting your system?
yeah, previously once we install it, it asks us to restart our system and then we have entered the details. So it's taking time.
Okay. Okay, let's look at the problem. First of all, we know the coefficient of cost. We know each sandwich costs $5 and hash brown $1. Also, their coefficients in terms of calories, protein, fat, and carbohydrates. So let me show you the Lingo screen. Let me see if I can. So as you see, with the exclamation mark, you can put some description, but at the end of description, you should put semicolon. For example, here I put objective function. After exclamation mark, this is my objective function. I want to minimize, and you see I put min equal 5 times sandwiches and 1 times hash brown, and then I put semicolon. Why? Because first of all, I want to minimize the cost, and I know each sandwich costs $5 and each hash brown costs $1. And it's the reason that here you see that I put it in the objective function. So objective function is the function that we play with that to reach our goal, which here is minimization. Any questions so far? Cool. Let's say I want to put extra comments because later when I go back, I want to read the problem properly. Again, I put exclamation mark, then I put constraint, semicolon. Because now I want to talk about my constraints. My first constraint is that it should be at least 1,000 calories. I know each sandwich has 300 calories, and each hash brown has 200 calories. Having said that, 300 times sandwiches plus 200 times hash brown, more or equal 1,000 calories. Same for protein. We want to have at least 60 grams of protein, but for fat, it shouldn't be more than 80 grams of fat. So you see now is less or equal 80. And same for carbohydrates. It should be more than 100 grams of carbohydrates. Also, I put 2 extra constraints. We know that number of sandwiches and hash browns should be at least 0. It should be more than 0. It doesn't make sense to have negative sandwiches. On top of that, you don't have to put such a constraints for more equal. You can go to solver, options, and in the general solver tab, you can select this option, which is variables assume non-negative. Again, let me show you. I went to solver, options, then I went to the general solver option, sorry, general solver tab. Then I click on variable assumed to be non-negative and I hit OK. If I do that, I can exclude these 2 constraints because in the options, I already said my variables are not negative. Any questions? I also can say my variables should be integer. For example, we don't want to have 1.3 sandwiches or like 2.1 hash browns. For doing that, I put @ gene parentheses sandwich. Colon. At sign. Gene. Gene basically means general integer. Dollar sign. Hash brown. So now let's solve this problem. There is a tab here which is solve. It's like a target sign, something like that. You hit that. And this is the answer. So you need to make 2 sandwiches and 4 hash browns. And now you can see the dual price, slack or sell price, or reduced cost that we talk in the sensitivity analysis. As you see, programming in Lingo is much easier than Solver. Basically, just write as you read. It's similar to mathematical languages. You need to know a little bit like how to define an integer and how to define positive variables and how to write objective function. Any questions so far? I give you 2 minutes to work with that. Then if you don't have any questions, I go to the next part.
Professor, once we click on solve, it will also ask for update interval. What is that?
Update interval.
Right. The default value is 2, but what it means? It's not here. When you click on solve, a window will come, right? Which you have just showed.
Do you see this window that I'm shaking?
Yes, I can see that.
Okay, so what is your question then?
So once you click on solve, there will be 2 windows opening. One is this one which you have just opened, and there is another one which is coming on my screen, which says solver status.
Okay, let me do it again. So is it the one that you're talking about?
Right. So there is update interval. What does it mean by this? In the another window, this gray one.
This one, right?
Yeah, at the end, you can see update interval at the end.
Oh, it's like, it's more related to the simplex algorithm, which is like out of content, I guess. So,
okay.
But it's the thing that we focus, we didn't go inside the simplex algorithm.
Okay.
So we just mostly focus on the application and how to program.
Okay, thank you.
But I send you some documents later to read that.
Thanks, Professor.
So let's see how to solve it in Solver. You already had the solution. Let me just open this Excel solver. I go to data, solve. As you see, we got exactly the same answer. So you can also check sensitivity analysis and talk about shadow price, allowable decrease, increase, and reduce cost. we had similar, almost similar thing in Lingo. As you see, in Lingo is much more easier, I guess, to program it. Basically, you just write or type as you write in a piece of paper. So might be for some of you, this is much easier. So let's go to the second problem. About make or buy problem. A company titled Worcester Balls produces 3 kinds of footballs: ball 1, ball 2, ball 3. Due to increase in demand, the production at own facility is not enough for this month. This month, a total of 3,000 bags of ball 1, 2,000 bags of ball 2, 8,000 bags of ball 3 are required. As a manager, you have to make decision that how many units should be produced in-house and how many units bags of balls can outsource to other company in Boston. Objective to minimize the cost. So again, objective function is minimization. Cost matrix, the cost of 1 bag of each kind. So for bag 1, if you make or buy, you either should pay $52 or $61 if you buy it. Ball 2, 83 make, 97 buy, and ball 3, 130 make and 145 to buy. So these are basically coefficients of the objective function, which at the end we want to minimize it. But we have such a constraint. At least 4,000 bags of football should be produced in-house. At max, 1,000 bags can be ordered from outside. There are total 10,000 hours of labor. And we know each bag of ball 1 requires 2 hours. A bag of ball 2 requires 1 hour. And a bag of ball 3 requires 3 hours. Also, we have a budget cap of 35,000. That ball 1 labor cost is $7, bag of ball 2 labor cost is $8, and bag of ball 3 labor cost is $7. Having said that, let me just open Lingo file. Again, as you see, I put some comments. The objective function, we want to minimize whatever we either make or buy. Some of them could be 0. Maybe you don't outsource any ball, some of the balls, or you never in-house some of them, but either you put the coefficient times the amount that we either outsource or produce. Also, I define some decision variables to be integer with GIN or GIN, which stands for general integer. Also, we have a constraint about how many we should produce or how many are required here, like 3,000, 2,800. So amount of ball 1 either with make or buy should be 3,000, for ball 2, 2,000, and ball 3, 800. Also, we know that we should at least make 4,000 balls, either ball 1, 2, or 3. And the purchase should be less than 1,000. We have a budget cost and budget cap and labor cap. And we know that our decision variable should be more than or equal 0. Again, the last 2 lines are not required. You can go to solver, options, and the general solver, just select variables assumed non-negative. If you do that, you don't have to assign these 2 lines. This could be extra. So any questions so far? I give you like 2 minutes to look at this problem and compare it with the written one that I put in the model. Then I go to the next part. Okay, let's go over the solution. You can see for each one, we know how many. So for ball theory, we don't buy, and we produce everything in-house. You can also see how many we, like for example, ball 1, we make most of it at home, and we just buy the portion from our supply in Boston, and also you can compare surplus, slag, and other variables. So for the third question, it was a transportation problem. We had 3 suppliers in Mount Dora, Estes, and Claremont that need to supply our 3 processing plant in Leesburg, Orlando, and Ocala. And as you see, our basically our supply is much less than capacity. Probably we can process all of them, but we cannot process more than our processing plant capacity. So I give you like 10 minutes as the in-class activity to just type the constraints and objective function in your lingo, you can, if you want, you can get a help. You can look at the week 10. In week 10, we have an Excel solver solution for this problem. You can also adopt from that. But basically, I think it's easy for you to even program it in Lingo without looking at that problem, because again, as I said, it's like you type or write in for your mathematics class. So I give you like 10 minutes to do it as a practice in your Lingo, then I show you the solution. Okay, let's go to the solution. First of all, we want to minimize the transportation cost, which is basically how much we transport or how much we send over each arc. So there is 9 arcs, and the cost associated to transporting each on each arc is also presented here. So having said that, this is our objective function, minimizing minimizing the total cost, which is for each arc is equal to amount that we send times the cost of using each arc. So objective function. So for constraints, we note that we have the amount that we process on each plan is provided, and the amount that we send to each processing plant should be less or equal to the capacity of the processing plant, as you see here. And also, we want to send all of the all from groups or suppliers. And you might say, why didn't we set less or equal, more or equal? Actually, it depends on the policy that you use in the problem. And the way that we evaluate it for the final, we look at your thinking process. What makes you to design such a constraint? For example, here, if we want to send out everything from our suppliers, we should use equal sign. If we want to send less, we should send less or equal. So for sure, more or equal doesn't make sense because we have a supplier and you cannot supply more than what your supplier makes. But equal here means we want to send out everything. Again, I think one of you have a question, right? So what's your question? I think one of you had a question, but I cannot hear you. So if you have a voice problem, you can send me over a chat box in the Zoom. Let me just put a comment. Again, as I said, the direction of the equal sign or less or more equal sign, it depends on how you define the problem. And this semester, actually, our grading policy is generous. I talk about the take-home problem later, but no worries. I mean, we totally understand what happened this semester. Even our teaching was not as we expected. On top of that, this semester, we were not fortunate to have TA early. But anyway, no worries about the problem. Later on, I talk about it more. But again, this is how you define this transportation problem. Basically, your constraints comes from points. For example, for supply, you want to send everything out of this point. For capacity, you want the entrance should be less or equal to your capacity because you cannot process more than your capacity. Then I hit solve, and this is the answer. So you might see such a 2.55 times e raised to power of 007. Basically, it means 2.55 times 10 raised to power of 7. Basically, this is a scientific way of showing the equation, but you can also see how much you should send from each point over their associated arcs. And this is your minimum cost is 2.255 times 10 raised to power of 8. Any questions so far? As you see, for many of you, it might programming Lingo might be much easier than Solver, because in Solver you should know how to make some formula, how to associate the tables and rows and cells to each other. But in Lingo, you just type as you do in your mathematics courses. So for many of you, Lingo might be much easier than Excel Solver. But if you're happy with Excel Solver, that's fine too. So if there is no question, I go to today's slides. Basically, today I just want general overview about the exam and your assignment, the competition, and so on and so forth. And anytime you have questions, you can just interrupt me and I go over your questions. So basically, 30% of your overall grade is from final exam. Again, I know this semester you have some options like pass or fail. If you're less than B minus and you select pass or fail, you are failed. But again, this semester, I think most of your instructor would be generous. So no worries. I strongly recommend to go over traditional format, which is like ABCDA and ABCDF, and hopefully I expect most of you get the really good grades. But again, you have such option. I think even you still can draw the course, but it's not what I recommend. So this 30% basically is a take home. And this is just some basically, I just evaluate your technical skills. Like, I want to see if you remember how to work with Tableau, KNIME, and linear programming. For linear programming, you can do either Lingo or Excel Solver, both are fine. For KNIME, you can also do with Python. So some part of your, basically most of the KNIME that we studied was about prediction and clustering, which if you can do it in Python, that's fine. And also for Tableau, if you can do the visualization in Python, that's okay. And the question is about lectures, in-class demos, and homeworks. Basically, if you're able to do class homeworks, you pay attention to lectures and did the homeworks, it shouldn't be difficult for you. Expecting that you have 3 or 4 days is a little harder than easy questions, but it's not too hard. So do you guys have any question with this slide? Okay, so poster submission is you should submit I think by tomorrow morning. Final project in your syllabus was April 29, but I extended to May 2nd. So you just like 3 or 4 extra days if you need it. But if you already did it, I just recommend to just submit as soon as possible. You still can submit from now. It's open on campus. If you did everything to campus, today after this lecture, I'm waiting for some of you if you guys want to present. Otherwise, also next week you can present. Next week I don't have any teaching. I just come to see if you're interested for presentation. I just study your presentation and pay attention to you and ask you any questions needed. But if you are not ready for today or next week, or you're not interested to do in-class presentation, you can still submit your presentation either through voice over PowerPoint or YouTube video or any you can use other tools for making YouTube videos too. So about the test on April 29th, I give you a take-home problem and you should submit by May 3rd, 9th. No late submission is accepted because you have almost fair amount of days. Almost you have 4 or 5 days. So hopefully you can submit by that time.
Professor, I have a question regarding the poster competition. So there is a point written send final poster to print no later than. So like what exactly does it mean? So like we have to make a poster as well for that, or just the presentation will be enough?
Oh, sorry, this line is extra. I mean, you don't have to make a poster. It was like before COVID-19. So that means you just exclude it. Good question, sorry, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. And there is no need to print any poster because nobody is there for seeing your posters. It's a good question, thank you.
Yeah. Also, one more thing, like the report submission. So, like in the final project submission, we have to make a report for it and then submit it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that so the deadline.
I mean, no. Let me show you the format. Exactly follow the format. I think report could be something just extra you do. So let me just go over that final presentation. Not this one. I think I just emailed you. Let me check my emails. I don't think there's a report for poster. I don't see any reporting.
Okay, so we have to for BI sub business intelligence subject, we have to subject the project report?
You know, for this class next week, you have to submit everything, even the report. But for poster, you just need to present.
Okay, all right.
It used to be poster competition, but it's not. But we still call it poster competition.
Okay.
Yeah. So just let's review what we had in the first week. Was a little bit of introduction about analysis, and we had go over the visualization a little bit, and I introduced you Tableau. Then we start learning from Tableau. In the next second week, we had some visualization example. We had some hands-on experience with Tableau. You might remember we developed dashboards and basically we had some interactive maps. Also, we talk about what is a good visualization, what is not a good visualization. And we look at some measures to identify the factors that you need to follow in a good visualization. In week 4, we look at some other tools like IBM SAS, Gephi, and like we start and second part of the course, which was predictive modeling. Then in week 5, we start doing more in depth with predictive analytics. We saw that we need to have some processes, like some process standards like STM, CMA, KDD, and some other ones. And we look over 9, and basically even in week 6, we had some experiences like how to do a data mining project, clustering, or some predictive analysis using 9. And as you see, it's a module-based programming. You need to basically have some modules for reading, interpolation, imputation, and basically predictions. Then we went to over text mining, basically finding the topics, looking at the sentiment, is either it's positive sentiment, negative sentiment. You might see we have some examples and hands-on experience on basically how to predict the ratings, and you have a homework about that. Also, we had we look at the rule mining or market basket analysis. You might remember it has most important application was how to design a supermarket and put some products next to each other, because those are the products that goes together. Customers, like you might remember, dad might be like buy some stuff for his kid, and also beers. So beers and those stuff goes together. And we also then went to the third part of class, which is prescriptive analytics. And you might remember the first class we had some visual ways for solve such a problems. We talk about that, and we know that when we have more than 2 variables and 3 or more, it's very hard to solve a prescriptive problem using visualization. Then we start using simplex method. We didn't go inside simplex method, but we know how to use it for our goals. In week 10, we look at some application of linear programming and some sensitivity analysis. For example, what is the binding constraint? What is slag? What is surprise? What does shadow price means? And we had 2 applications in make versus buy and transportation problem. In week 11, we even go to the further applications, like we went deep into transportation model. We have seen how to 3 application of transportation model in multi-step models, general transportation, estimating truck costs. We had another example, scheduling employees, and also work assignments. And in the last week of teaching, we went to other applications of linear programming. There is something good and bad about linear programming. The way that you learn is through applications, because in each application, you need to be smart and genius to have some innovations. Sometimes it's needed. Basically, you need to be that much smart that to translate wordings and write-ups to the mathematical equations. So these applications last week was shortest.NET, workflow, maxflow, and goal programming. You might remember goal programming is most challenging because you have several flexible costs, flexible goals that you need to justify, and basically the way that you justify it might be a little challenging. Again, if you go to some certain industries like supply chain and transportation in general, you might see such a problems a lot, and you get more exposed to them, and you can get more. The way basically is it makes linear programming hard, or operation research in general hard, because it needs some you need to be genius. You need to know how to translate actual problems into equations. And this week, I mean, this is like we just look over Lingo and how to use Lingo for linear programming. On top of that, we also reviewed the exam and basically the topics that we covered in the course. So it was a very challenging semester for either students and the faculties. We haven't had such an experience before. I know it might be, your learning might be challenging, and it's therefore I think if you just study slides and know how to work with the Tableau 9, or you can substitute 9 with Python and linear programming, you should be good. I expect the grades in this semester shouldn't be bad, assuming that all the faculties can understand you and know the situation that you are stuck in. We just hope that next fall we don't have such issues and we could get back to the normal, and we have more in-class. We actually could have in-class experiences, and hopefully even the industry would better. So next year that you graduate, hopefully it will be much more job opportunities. Any questions?
Professor?
Yes.
So the exam is going to be based on these three formats? Like you can have a
You have
question
three.
on Tableau?
Yeah, you have three type of questions. You need to evaluate your knowledge in Tableau, basically visualization knowledge. I evaluate your knowledge in predictive analysis or machine learning using 9 or Python. Some of you are happy to work with Python, that's fine, but you can do in 9. And the last part is linear programming. You can either do in Excel or Excel Server or Lingo. Just see which one is easier for you, and you can just program in that application.
Okay.
There is no true, false, or writing questions because I don't think it's fair. I mean, we know that I don't think that's much fair, but for the problems, especially linear programming, you guys might have different solutions, but all of you get the full credit, because linear programming, there is not just one way of solving the problem. You might have several ways of solving exactly the same problem. And the way that you define or understand the problem might be different, so your formulation might be a little different from each other. Any other questions?
So we only submit the files? We don't submit in writing?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So I will open a section on your Moodle for the final exam.
Professor, I just wanted to quickly confirm that the final exam is just that take-home part where you're evaluating our knowledge on those three. There's no in-class, like we don't have to be on screen for anything.
You don't have to. Next class, I mean, again, I get online to see if you want to present, because some of you want to present to me and I can ask questions if there's any issues. But if you don't have any presentation or you don't want to see your friend's presentation, you don't have to attend in the next class.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I think somebody asked me about to presenting today. Are you guys wants to present? Are you guys still wants to present? I have some issue in hearing you. What you said again?
Yes, Professor, I can present today.
Uh-huh. Do you want?
Deepshika?
Okay, cool. So let me just, could you share the screen? Let me see. I think I should stop share.
Okay, let me,
And let's see. So could you share?
yeah, 1 second.
Okay, cool.
Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, I can. Go ahead, please.
Okay. I'm just trying to, okay.
Okay.
So my project is based on the predicting next travel destination for new Airbnb users. So over the past several decades, international tourism has been significantly increased, and tourism industry is one of the fastest growing industry, accounting for 10.4% of world's GDP, supporting 313 million jobs worldwide. It represents a major source of income, employment, exports, and taxes. So as you can see on the right-hand side, according to World Tourist Organization in 2019, international tourist arrival grew 4% and reached to 1.5 billion mark. Machine learning and predictive analysis are redefining our travel industry. So according to McKinsey report, travel businesses and airlines have 23 times higher chances of customer acquisition if they can use the data-driven strategy. It is also critical for the governments also to develop the infrastructure, products, and services to satisfy tourist to satisfy the tourist preferences. Now comes to the literature review. There are many researches has been done on the perception of the tourist behavior. Research suggests that an understanding of preferences and travel-related behavior is really important in terms of market segmentation and effective promotional campaigns. Performance of destination can be measured through the perception of tourists. Several researches has been done which indicates that travel attributes are important to describe a particular destination. The reason is the tourists generally don't have that much knowledge, or they have very limited knowledge about a destination that they have not visited, and they often choose the destination based on either the media or social groups. Gender, age, geographical origin, marital status, all these things plays an important role in tourist behavior while deciding the destination. And even the same person can have different perception. Multiple person can have different perceptions for the same destination. A study of image of Pennsylvania as a rural tourism destination indicated that females are more likely to have a higher positive image of a destination as compared to males. But there is another study which suggests that genders can play a very moderating role in all this decision-making process. So there's two aspects of one study. Studies related to tourist behavior reveal age is very important factor affecting the
May I
decision.
interrupt you a little bit? Are you going to present it for poster too, for poster competition?
No, this for the
Okay.
Class presentation.
Okay, for class is fine, but if you want to poster it, to submit for poster presentation, maybe you can put some citations on your slide, especially in the literature review, like saying that this code is coming from this paper. But for class presentation, it's fine.
Okay, yeah. But in my paper, everything is like quoted from which study it has come from and which author has cited it. So
Okay.
everything is there in the paper.
That's great.
Yeah. So next is there was a survey in NYU by Dr. Leonard, and in 2018, which suggests that 70% of respondents are willing to take domestic vacation, while 32% are likely to take the international trips. And when it's come to age, there's a striking revelation that information handling abilities decreases with time, which is why the younger population are able to get more information as compared to the older people. And also their decision is based on distance of the destination. Next is the problem statement. So our problem statement is to predict where a new Airbnb user will book its first travel destination based on specific demographics and web session. Talking about my motivation, being a very frequent traveler myself, I'm interested in examining how factors such as age, gender, internet activities, marketing techniques can product our next venture. My first Airbnb account was created back in 2012 when I booked my first international destination to UK. So I've always been curious about this kind of studies. But it is also good to know the importance of this study. So tourism industry is very much linked to the idea of people traveling around the world. The major concept revolves around making people happy, occupied with the equipment and the amenities. And so by predicting all these things, by predicting the next travel destination accurately, companies can provide the personal recommendation to users, thereby enhancing their user experience and optimizing customer retention rate. It is also important to have a better forecasting of demand and revenue. And with the help of this study or with the help of this data, governments can also have a better plan, step ahead, which can help them improving their infrastructure. So this is the data and methodology of our study. Following is the process flow chart which we have followed. The first step was the data collection. The entire data was from kaggle.com. It's an Airbnb data set. It includes the user collected data from 2010 to 2014. All the users are US based, so they are US citizens. And original data consists of around 213,451 rows with 16 factors. But when we went into the factor selection, we took 12 out of 16 factors, which we'll further will take into consideration.
So why you select 12 out of 16? What was the reason?
That's in the next slide. Yeah, that's in the next slide.
Okay, yeah.
So when we talk about the data set, our response variable is destination country. Since this is a multi-classification model, we have 10 different labels of the destination country, and all these things had been encoded to 1 to 10 in our predictive modeling techniques. The response variable is categorical and a string variable. We also had NDF, which is no destination found, but we have took only the top 10 countries into consideration to analyze our study. Because non-destination, non-defined destination is nothing but where user have not booked anything, so it is not relevant to our part of study. So these are the data variables we have taken into consideration. When we said that 12 out of 16, the other set was not relevant. For example, there were language, though language seems to be really important. But when we have this data set, since all the users are from US, the majority of them have a preferred language as English. So the data is kind of unbalanced. And in terms of age restriction, we have 18 to 95. And just because Airbnb end user license agreement has the minimum age as 18, and we have taken as 95 as the upper limit because it is difficult to envision the older US individuals being open to the experience like Airbnb stays. There were errors in the age factor, where, like such as some of the age was 1924 and 1925, which is birth years in year values. We have we have taken care of the data in terms of the mutation. Also in date first booking, as I've already mentioned, the NDF data no longer plays a role because there was missing data against date first booking. So we have removed those rows so that our analysis is only based on the top 10 countries. And these are the important data set variables. Going to descriptive analysis. Okay, there is one more point. When we were saying that we have removed some of the variables, those variables were related to session data set, which was the part of the original data set. But since that data set only consists of user details only for 2014 and ignoring around 130,000 users, so that is not according to our analysis, and that would be a huge data loss, which might have changed our analysis result. So those variables has not been taken into consideration. comparison.
Okay.
Now, in terms of descriptive analysis, so this is our very basic statistics, details of the response variable and independent variables we have checked, and what we have found is age is a mean of 36.5 with minimum and maximum value of 18 and 95, which we have set as a lower limit and upper limit. The majority of the users lies in the range of 25 to 35, and the same will be there in the next slides when we go to the visualizations. And in terms of kurtosis and skewness, they are in the normal range. It's 1.5 for kurtosis and skewness 1.2. And we also, the overfitting of data was also found not to be a significant issue in this case. So this is the map where we can see the Airbnb users have traveled. The first travel has been done to the various parts of the world. But the majority, the 79% of users have booked their first destination as United States, followed by France, which is 6.41%, which is a green color, and Italy 3.62, which is of like brownish color. So this is why we have stated our data as a class imbalance category, because the majority has shifted to the US destination. This is the age distribution, and as we can see that most of the travelers belong to the age of 25 to 35 years of age. However, it has also been observed that with the increasing age, higher proportion of travelers choose the international travel. So if you see the below chart, I've marked it over there. The age between 70 to 85, they have a higher preference to go to France and IT. It's not with respect to US, but with respect to the other age classes. This is here, like we are seeing the gender preferences. It could be observed that the most travelers although preferred US, but there's no major preference of any destination country by gender, which is in line with the literature review where one of these studies says that the gender plays a moderating role while they're finalizing their travel destination. This is about the sign up year, the booking year, and the year of creating the account. As we can see on the left hand side, the users have created the account, and this is the 10, which shows that this has increased from 2010 to 2013, and they have dropped in 2014. Although, when you see on the right hand side, the booking trend has been consistently increasing from 2010 to 2014. This shows the growing tourism industry. This distribution of interval days between first booking and account created. So there's a difference between the account created and the first booking, and like this shows user take how many days to do their booking. And what we have found, the concentration in the first bin is 3.8 average interval days. This shows that more than 75 users have booked their destination country within the average days of 3.8 after creating their account. Now we see the seasonality trend. This visualization indicates bookings are highest during summer, somewhere around May and June, and that's slowly decreasing during winters. Moreover, international destinations are preferred by users only during summers, like rather than winters. But when we further analyze the seasonality trend based on journey type, US prefers to travel within United States during summers. They also tend to travel long distance journey like Europe. But the medium distance journey such as Canada is least preferred throughout the year. This is the marketing data, and we can see that direct marketing is the most effective marketing method, indicating people tend to visit Airbnb website directly. This is followed by the search engine marketing techniques. These affiliate channels used by users does indicate their preference to US, being the dominant in all the channels, followed by France and Italy. However, user gain from content marketing, if you just notice on the right hand side, the top two marketing channels, remarketing and content marketing, users gained from content marketing and remarketing have a higher proportion traveling to France and Italy as compared to the other marketing channels. This is about the affiliate providers, and majority of them are coming from direct marketing and Google search. And again, it is inclined towards US destination. The most commonly used sign-up methods are basic and via Facebook. It also indicates that users signed up using these two methods have higher probability of traveling to United States, followed by France. On the right-hand side, you can see the web is a major sign-up platform that contributed in gaining new users, followed by iOS. That is iPhone or iPads, etc. And the last, we'll talk about the first device used by the user that indicate the preferences. Desktop are the most popular than the mobile devices for new Airbnb users. However, there's another trend showing when we see it by destination. We can see this trend by destination country, users who use mobile devices except iPads to book their travel destination have higher proportion traveling to the United States. Now we move on to the predictive analysis models. We have used 5 models over here: decision tree, random forest, extreme gradient boost, that is XGBoost, neural network, and support vector machine, SVM. These models have been used because for multi-classification, these were one of the most popular for using such kind of models. Our baseline accuracy was 79%. The decision tree model was first created. The data set was partitioned with 70-30 ratio, 70% for the training model and 30% for the validating model. The training data consists of around 40,000 user details and validation data consists of around 17.5 user details. Training data set was set to create the decision model to predict the target variable. We found the accuracy of decision tree to be 79.52%. With all the steps keeping the same, we tried the random forest model as well, which provided us the accuracy of 79.58. Random forest model are basically an ensemble learning methods when we use the multivariate or multi-classification model. These are better with respect to decision tree. Sorry, there's more to it. So we also use the extreme boost model, which is XGBoost. It is also used for the ensemble learning for the classification. It is very unique in its own sense because it's controls the overfitting, if any, in the model, and it provides a better performance. However, when we use our data set on this model, it provides us the lowest accuracy of 77.45, which is less than the baseline model. And its runtime was really high. It is 15-20 minutes per execution, that too with the default parameters. The reason which maybe is like the class imbalance and the high data set. Class imbalance because most of the data was not balanced and was not evenly distributed across the countries. And then we have used the artificial neural network as we need to use the double data type for this kind of model. We have encoded majority of the factors into double data type, and we got the accuracy of 79.58. And the consumption time was really low. Support vector machine, SVM, is also one of the popular for multi-class problems. However, it works best with a smaller data set. I still attempted to run this model on our data set to check how much time it takes and how much accuracy it will give. However, it took around a day to run for a single execution. It's really time consuming. Although it gives the accuracy same as that of random forest and neural network, computation time was really lengthy, and we were not able to attempt the multiple fine-tuning techniques on this model. As is a case of multi-class and class imbalance, we have to use the micro average and other statistics. And among all these models, random forest and neural networks perform the best with the highest accuracy and lowest misclassification rates. To check the consistency of the preferred models, we have varied with the data set ratio. We have gone to 60-40, 75-25, and 80-20 ratio. Among these models, again, random forest and neural network experienced the smallest variation and were most consistent models throughout. There were neither issues of overfitting nor the missing value in the models. The split ratio analysis has not been performed on SVM. because of the high computation time. Now we come to the limitation of this. So this problem of identifying the travel destination was really challenging. Although there was advantage of the huge data set is like stable and improved hit rate, but this also restrict the fine tuning time. More balanced classification with further improve the accuracy. I would also like to explore the SVM and XGBoost model with a smaller and more balanced data set. Another thing is this data set was very specific to Airbnb users. If we can include more companies like Expedia or Booking.com and any other company that can provide a deeper insights into this issue. Also, due to the session information for limited users, that data set was not being utilized, which could have provided some valuable insights. The session information had some data about countries like user have searched it before, which would have given us a more information. Also, while choosing the next travel destination, people normally do not go only with the age, gender, time of creating account. There are so many other factors involving that influence their decisions, such as social economic factors, cost of flights to and fro from the destinations. And these aspects has not been taken into consideration in the study. So a more comprehensive study with other factors can be conducted. Coming to the conclusion, so with 79% of baseline accuracy, most models surpass this threshold. We have expected that pruning of the data given to different model except SPM would have improved the result, but we have found no additional benefit on that. And also we have, we also did have previously the missing age in several rows. So we have also tried to removing and including into our model, but there was no significant differences. Gender played again a moderating role, which is again in line with the review. Our top predictors were affiliate channel, age, sign up method, and sign up app. And one other thing is like post coronavirus crisis, the companies needs to build customers' confidence on safe traveling. And this can be possible by understanding their changed perception and travel behavior. However, with so many benefits of the machine learning in this field, with the increased use of big data, there comes the concerns over privacy, inaccuracy, and misuse of the information. Thank you.
Very good. It was really fascinating, and thank you very much. Good job. Very good job. So great. So any other ones who wants to present today? Just wait a couple of minutes. I don't think anyone else is volunteered to present. I wish, Deepshika, I wish you attended the poster competition. It was a really good one, but.
Yeah, I would have, but Professor, that was actually for MSBA and I'm an MBA student, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm so sad. Cool. I think there's nobody else who wants to present. So that was for today. So next week, again, if you want to present, please come to the Zoom meeting. And you can present in the class. Otherwise, again, you can make a voiceover or YouTube video or any kind of video for your presentation and submit it by your due date. And as you know, I extended the due date too. Okay, thank you. It was a short class, mostly for your presentation. So cool. Thank you very much and have a great evening.
Professor, do I need to submit it to this presentation to you by email or is that all?
Just send over the Moodle, just upload the PowerPoint.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
I have another question. Okay, cool. Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Professor.